like to summarize, for those of you who don't know enough about him, that Rabbi Robinson is a staff scholar and a member of the Cincinnati Community Kollel in Cincinnati, Ohio, where he's been for the past 3 years. In that position, he serves a rabbinic role for the Orthodox community of Cincinnati. He has learned in Yeshiva High School in Skokie, Illinois, in Yeshiva Shalvim in Israel, and here in Baltimore near Israel, where he earned his bachelor's and master's in Talmudic law and received his smicha. He also holds a master's degree in school administration and supervision from Loyola University in Chicago, Illinois. Now, Rabbi Robinson, I have a set of questions that I'd like to pose to you for your brief answers, please. First question is, can you give us some idea as to how you would deal with individuals and families who are facing end-of-life issues?
In terms of my personal experience dealing with these types of issues, in terms of the quantity of it, it's fairly limited. But in terms of the training to be able to handle situations, and having learned from different Rabbanim and spoken a lot about these issues, I'm very well aware of how to deal with this and to guide them as much as possible and other people to contact if I have further questions. In terms of my comfort being in those types of situations, 2 years ago, my grandfather's yahrzeit was actually this past Friday. 2 years ago, when my grandfather was nifter, I was with him for his last 2 days and had the opportunity, really grateful I had the opportunity to be with him at his moment of death. I said to be with him. I was with my father when we had to call the post-game to make the decisions of how we're supposed to handle it, what's the proper way to handle it. And, I've learned a lot from that specific process and from the other times I've been involved in other legal processes or heard from my Rabbi on how they handle those situations. So definitely, fairly prepared for dealing with people before such a situation would have to come up, or if they're in that situation at the present time. There's other issues that do come up in terms of moments of death, or in terms of, unfortunately, if things progress negatively upon death, there's autopsies, and dealing with the Kedisha as well. I am a member of the Kedisha in Cincinnati. I've given several classes on how to do autopsies and the end-of-life issues, so I'm very familiar with the halachic issues involved, and generally familiar how to pass them under those circumstances. So, obviously it's case by case, but in general, I feel equipped to handle these situations.
Thank you. Even though this is an interim position, do you see your wife playing a role, and if so, what would that role be?
Well, speaking from experience in the Cincinnati Community Kollel, my wife has a very active role. Someone came over to me last 2 days ago in Cincinnati. He said, I heard a rumor, you go to Baltimore. I didn't make a big deal about it in terms of telling people I was coming here. But I heard a rumor that you're going, and if you get the position and you go, we're going to miss you a lot. But my wife said, your wife cannot go. Absolutely not allowed. We need her too much over here. Just in our 3 years at Cincinnati, and we are from the younger crowd, she's a member of the board of the mikveh there. She doesn't do public speaking, but she's arranged many seminars, many speeches, many public events, barbecues, etc. And as well, it's clear to me, and she knows as well, that she's become a resource for the women of the community, someone that they feel very comfortable talking to. So, as much as possible during a 1-year interim, she's definitely available to people and would certainly make that clear that she's available to them if they want to use her as a resource or someone to speak to.
Thank you. Can you tell us about your experience and comfort in dealing with Taras and Mishpacha Shilas, and to whom would you turn to situations that are beyond your experience?
Approximately 4 years ago, my last year in New Israel, I learned the halachos of Taras and Mishpacha in depth myself, and since then I had a lot of clarity on that particular topic. Starting at that point, I got a Shimush apprenticeship in dealing with constantly Shilas. Even now, in my role with Cincinnati Community Kollel, something I was mentioning today to the search committee, that it's developed in a way, so to speak, that a lot of the women who come to the women's halacha shir I give on Sunday night in Cincinnati, and the men who come to the other shirim that I give, have looked at me, so to speak, as a posek in many ways. So I have practically, I wouldn't say gotten an abundance of shilas that were in town, but throughout the years I have dealt practically with these issues. People I would call if things are out of my depth. I have spoken to people who are in town, so I've spoken to my Rosh Kollel in Cincinnati, Rabbi Spedner. My posek here in Baltimore was Rabbi Yosef Berger. I davened in shul when I was here. Otherwise, I'm from Chicago originally, and there's 2 big poskim there that I call to deal with these types of issues when they're on my desk. They have a tremendous amount of knowledge when it comes to the anatomy of it, the medicine of it. They've spoken to many doctors, and I as well have taken opportunities that I've had to speak to OBs and other doctors about these types of issues, because it's not just halacha you need to know the facts. So it's something that is a lot to do. But the two poskim in Chicago I speak to a lot. Shmuel first, who's the Dayan in Chicago, and Rabbi Freeman, who's also one of the Dayanim in the based in the CRC. So certainly very comfortable. I've dealt with it over the last few years, and I've had a lot of shimush over that time as well.
Fairly sensitive but persistent issue that arises in Shomrei in many places, I guess. How would you provide guidance for determining appropriate mixing or separation of men and women, for instance, social or educational events that may be planned for the shul?
I think more than any other issue, women's issues is a very large gray area. 2 weeks ago, I gave a class to the women in Hilchos Yichud. So I said there's 3 categories of the laws of Yichud. There's the deraisas, the things that are prohibited on the Torah level. There's the derabbanan, those which are prohibited on a rabbinic level. And there are situations that are totally halakhically acceptable, but you shouldn't do anyway. So that led us off into the discussion of what about all the other gray areas when it comes to dealing with women's issues. And there really are many in terms of handshakes and other types of matters that come up, and these issues as well, just exceeding. Several women said to me, I'm uncomfortable with men calling me my first name, I think it's too personal. And the answer I really gave them then, which is what I'm thinking now, is that there really is so much gray, and it's one of those things that's determined by the community. I can tell you very clearly that the standards in Cincinnati are very different than the standards that are here, which I don't know very well what they are. And the standards here are certainly different than Lakewood and Borough Park and B'nai Brak as well. So I think it would really be necessary for me to know a little more, lay the land, so to speak, of what these standards are, and then to work with dealing with that as much as possible.
You are well aware of the fact that we've had issues that have arisen in our community that represent either dissent or differences between Orthodox and non-Orthodox communities. And as a response to the last time the debate came up about whether the JCC should open on Shabbos, Shomrei sponsored and hosted a program that promoted dialogue among Orthodox and non-Orthodox community members, a program which many non-Orthodox people in the community still remember and refer to as something that helped them gain a better understanding of our community. Are you comfortable participating in such a program? And if so, what would the Gedarim be? What guidance would you provide? How would you see yourself participating?
One of the main things that we do in Cincinnati is outreach. So in terms of the interaction that we have with the Reform Conservative, it's vast. Constantly involved with them. It's amazing to see how many students, rabbinic students from HBC, actually come to learn in our kol on a regular basis. Unfortunately, their professors are happy about that, so they find out they pull them out. But certainly the interaction is great, and dealing with them is also very nice. My friend put up an eruv in one of the suburbs of Cincinnati, and the conservative rabbi gave a big yasher koyach to him, thanking him for doing such, and there's been a lot of dealing with each other to help arrange for such things. It's really hard to give general guidelines for these type of things. I don't know the details of this particular case or what the format was. My general approach in terms of dealing with the conservative and reform, in terms of sitting on boards with them and sitting in committees with them, is that if it's a rabbinic board of a religious organization, or if it's a rabbinic board of a general organization, whether it be the GFS or if it be the Federation, etc., but it's purely a rabbinic board, a rabbinic advisory board, I would be uncomfortable sitting with a former conservative in that setting. If it's a general committee, if it's just speaking to them, but there are other people involved as well, the lay leadership or other community leaders, I would certainly be completely comfortable dealing with them under that and recognizing them as community leaders, and I would be comfortable